Welcome to this edition of Down the Right Field Line. Today we're going to be talking about all the surprises in spring training in Marlins camp. Who's going to make the team? Are there some names that perhaps we didn't mention before? Also, we're going to be talking about Mike Stanton and his injury, and what do Andy Pettitte and Brett Favre have in common? All that and more coming up next. What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest edition of Down the Right Field Line. As I like to mention before the show starts, you can click on any of the links here and it'll fast forward to any point of the show you're interested in. I also wanted to mention to you guys, if you guys are watching us on a mobile device, make sure to check us out on YouTube. That way you can click on the links and several other links that pop up throughout the show. So right now we're in the midst of spring training, and you know, a lot of people talk about the statistics that come out of spring training and whether they really translate to the regular season. Rafi and I are going to start covering some of the surprises in spring training. The first one is Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez is on a tear right now. He's just looking like the Hanley of old. He's hitting balls the other way, and a lot of it, he says, has to do with his off-season training with Jose Bautista. Rafi, what have you seen some of his swings? I mean, what do you think of this new Hanley? Is it something that can carry on into the regular season?
You know, I believe it can. I think it comes from within. It comes with the attitude. Jose Bautista is, from what I've seen him from, he seems like a low key guy who, has fun playing the game, and he's been through so many ups and downs in his career. So I think Jose Bautista, gave Hanley a little insight on what it means to be humble, and then, at the same time, just have fun. Have fun, trust in your abilities. And I think that's what we've been seeing from Hanley, and man, the sky's the limit for this guy. As long as, like I said, he has fun and he plays the game right, we'll be fine.
One of the jobs that's up in the air right now is the fourth outfield spot. You have Chris Coghlan, Aaron Rowan, and Austin Kearns all battling for that job. There's other minor leaguers also battling, but those are the main guys. And you've really seen a fierce competition between those three. Sometimes they're starting even at the same time. So let's see some statistics from each one. First, we'll go with Rowan. In 9 games, he's batting 100 with 5 strikeouts. Now, Rafi, like you spoke about earlier, you want this guy for his defense, but that batting average isn't showing much.
Yeah, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm a man of second chances, and I think that he's definitely deserving to get another look. Remember, he's been in the league forever, it seems like. Help me make that prediction come true, please. So just be patient at the plate, and just please help me out.
Other guys, Austin Kearns, 8 games, batting .364. He's had 5 strikeouts, but 2 home runs. Seeing him come to his own. And again, he's been in the league for a little while as well, but you don't know if that's the kind of guy you want on your team. You don't know if you want a guy with a lot of defense or a guy can get on base, which would be Coghlan would be the obvious choice for getting on base. 7 games, batting .238, 4 strikeouts with 1 walk. So now you have the statistics of all 3 guys, Rafi. If you had to make the choice today, are you going to second guess yourself with the Rowan situation, or are you going to go with one of the other guys?
The stubborn me would go with Rowan. And Kearns, I remember I dismissed him right off the bat. Why are we signing this guy? I didn't really expect much, but he's really made a name for himself in spring training. Then you got Cogs. This guy, rookie of the year a couple of years ago, hasn't really gotten it going with injuries and this and that, but this spring, apparently he's felt better than ever. No knee issues. The guy's playing hard. He's just a guy that you want on your ball club, and I'm going to eat my words. So I like Coghlan.
Wow, that's a pretty big surprise there. I was going to say the same thing with Coghlan. I still am a little bit backing you up because Rowan, I think, should be on the team because he's going to provide some leadership off the bench. You want the guy to come off the bench and get a hit. And obviously Dobbs is going to do that. But you want another guy, and I think Coghlan will be able to provide that. Plus, when he gets on base, you have a little bit of speed on base as opposed to Dobbs, who might get on base. You're going to need a pinch runner. So we'll see how the rest of the spring ends up. Now, Rafi, if you might remember, when we made our predictions for the bench, we were predicting Murphy to run away with the middle infield backup position, and we didn't really mention anybody else. Well, I'm glad to say we're wrong because there's quite a competition going on in that position, and the unknown suspect is Donovan Solano. Who the heck is this guy? Well, this guy played for the Cardinals a couple years ago, and he's been up and down from the minors, but he's putting together a heck of a spring. Let me shoot some numbers at you. In 13 games, batting .346, 3 strikeouts, and 2 walks. That's pretty impressive numbers from a guy that's been up and down from the minor leagues. Now, Murphy has played in the big leagues. He's succeeded for the most part. Right now in spring training, he's played 11 games, batting .222, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Rafi, are you still moving towards Murphy, or if this guy really shows up and really hits the rest of the spring, do you think he should get a call up to the big leagues?
Well, I think that Solano has really made a case for himself. And you mentioned with the bat, but in snippets that I've caught, this guy can put a glove on and field his way through. So this guy Solano seems like the guy that you would want if he were to continue this tear in spring training. But there you also, like you mentioned, you have Donnie Murphy with the experience and just his clutch ability. Bottom line, I go with experience. So Donnie, welcome.
All right, as we keep on mentioning some of the surprises in spring, we thought we'd mention one of the backup catcher positions, and we all said Brett Hayes, hands down, is going to get the job. Just want to throw a little wrench into the machine and see, well, maybe there's somebody else competing for that job. The guy's name is Clint Salmons. This guy's bounced around as well. He played for the Braves a couple years ago. Just throw out some stats. In 5 games, batting .400 with only 1 strikeout, whereas Hayes right now is batting .200 in 7 games with 5 strikeouts. Now, Hayes really showed himself last year that he can play the backup position, and he can even come off the bench as a pinch hitter. Rafi, what do you have to say about the Salmons guy, and does he have a legitimate shot to make the team, or are the Marlins going to think of carrying 3 catchers?
Whoa, okay. Well, first of all, let me give him a name. His name is Clint Eastwood Salmones, okay? Now that guy, he will not make the team. It'll be Brett Hayes' job to lose, which he will not. And Mr. Salmons, will be in AAA or in another team. 3 catchers, I don't know if I don't see how that would work out. You're wasting a roster spot. It's a waste of a roster spot where you, like we mentioned earlier, you can have Coghlan and Rowan on the same team. By having Salmons on the team, forget it. That's not going to work out. So I believe Brett Hayes gets the backup catcher job.
So we also were analyzing some of the pitchers. Now, we just released the bullpen predictions for the Marlins in 2012. Some of the guys that are performing this spring, weren't on that list. And one of the guys is Wade LeBlanc. Wade LeBlanc was a guy that we traded for John Baker, which I think was a pretty legitimate trade. Now, Wade LeBlanc kind of figured to be for depth. They wanted him there just in case we need him in the rotation, in case somebody gets hurt. Rafi, this guy needs to make the team.
Yeah. I mean, if the whole Oviedo situation doesn't work out, I think he's first in line to make that long relief role, spot starter if needed.
But with three lefties in the bullpen, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what it takes. I mean, if you're having success, why not? I mean, especially in a division like the East, where you have left-handed dominant. Well, now with the Phillies, you have Utley and Howard out. But anyway, with other, Brian McCann's of the world, Freddie Freeman's, so on and so forth, you have those lefty dominant lineups, and if you need it, and I think we will, then yes, go for it.
So that's pretty much it for the spring surprises. There's a lot of guys that are having pretty good springs. We couldn't mention all of them. But like I mentioned in the beginning, spring numbers hardly ever translate into the regular season. Sometimes you'll see a guy lead in home runs all spring training. He gets into the big leagues, can't hit, 1 or 2 home runs. So moving on into other things that happened throughout spring training, Giancarlo Stanton. He was starting to have a decent spring, and then he faced the Mets. He got hit in the left wrist by Chris Shrindon, and he hasn't played since. He got a MRI on it, and what they actually found was that he had inflammation in his left knee. So Rafi, I know they're mentioning a lot of rumors about whether Stanton's going to be healthy for opening day, or we might need to have Rowan or Kearns out there. What are you thinking as this whole thing is developing?
Well, it really is unfortunate, and it went from, okay, it's not a big deal, it's a little inflammation, to, well, wait a second, this might be a problem. And so, it really, like you said, it's frustrating for a guy who has so much potential to lose time. In fact, he played in 150 games last year, which is pretty good considering he had to miss the early part of the season. But, it really is disheartening, and hopefully it's not as serious, or if it is, that he's out for a week or two, nothing big, or at least nothing big in the long run, and hopefully he'll be ready and healthy, the latter part of the season if need be, June, July, August, September, which is when we really need him for that playoff push.
So as spring continues, we'll continue to give you updates on how the Marlins are performing in spring, and then the big day, April 4th, opening day, look for us out there, and same thing as FanFest, doing a few interviews, so get excited for opening day. In recent news in Major League Baseball, Andy Pettitte just signed back with the Yankees. He was out there throwing some BP with the Yankees in Yankees camp in Tampa, and then all of a sudden a few days later, like a whirlwind, Andy Pettitte signs a contract, and all of a sudden he's back with the Yankees, unretiring, and it just set off a whole bunch of questions. So Rafi's going to be talking about retirement in his Fair or Foul segment.
It's really tough for these athletes to call it quits for something that they've been used to doing since they were 5, 6 years old, just grinding it out on the field, on the court, wherever it may be. These guys don't know anything other than sports, other than making a living playing sports. You're starting to see whether it was Favre coming back a couple times with the Jets and then the Vikings, or whether, we talk about, Pettitte just coming back now, or Michael Jordan coming out of retirement. It's really hard for these guys to walk away from the game. With that being said, guys, it's sad. And I know that these players say, when I really can't anymore, I'll know. The key that they always say is, I'll know when to retire. I got news for you. You don't know when to retire because that's all you're used to doing is playing the sport. So I think that, with Pettitte, he had some success his final year. Walk off into the sunset. Perfect example on that. Michael Strahan winning the Super Bowl. See you later. Walks away. Another example on how players don't know how to quit. Jamie Moyer. Yes, he's pushing 50 and he's still trying to make a comeback. Kudos to him, coming off of Tommy John surgery, but come on. Enough is enough. I think you have, 7, 8 kids? Take care of your kids. Maybe that's how you have to take care of your kids, playing ball, but do something else. Or if being on the field is what is attracting you to play, then walk away, do something different.
Thank you, Rafi. And for our question of the week, which current Major League Baseball player should call it quits now? That's it for this week. Make sure to join us on the following weeks as we get closer to the opening day. As for now, make sure to check out our random video of the week, which we like to call
La Mega Freak Out. Later.